Hi, folks. I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
Welcome into the show. I am your host, Sean Crabtree.
And I am Cameron Bailey. Did you know, Sean,
I did not,
that according to U.S. News and Money, the number one rated job in the United States of these Americas is what?
Dentistry.
Dentistry.
The number one rated job. Why?
Well, this says because the amount of possible money that you can make, right? The amount of dental profits that you can make.
Dental profits.
You also have the ability to control your schedule with the days that you work, and the ability to take what they call entrepreneurship in your business. Those three things, they rank that as the number one job.
Out of every job.
Every job.
And they ranked 100.
They ranked 200.
Oh.
The top 200 best jobs.
And dentistry was number one.
Dentistry was number one. General dentist. Orthodontist, I think, don't quote me, I think orthodontist was number 4.
Okay, interesting.
General dentist, number one job in America.
So that brings me to a story.
Can't wait to hear it.
A story. So this was on a social media post, and I'll go ahead and say most of you watching or listening to this have probably been on this post. Dental Town. There are lots and lots of good resources on Dental Town, but this is an interesting post. Here's what this post says. I don't know that I'll read all of it. Let me just hit the high points here. So I am tired of dentistry. I'm tired of patients complaining about price, pain, treatment, tired of expenses, tired of back-breaking physical work. Graduated dental school 16 years ago, been doing GP, and after finishing perio 8 years ago, been doing a lot of surgeries and implants, taking comprehensive ortho courses, et cetera, et cetera. He's saying I'm pretty good at what I do, or she, I don't know which. Have a great relationship with 99% of my patients, but that 1% that always, can I use the word?
Use the word.
Bitch and moan, no matter what or how we treatment them, is driving me crazy. I'm tired of getting nickel and dime by insurance companies, which results in us dropping nearly all but Delta Dental. I'm tired of acting like an empathetic doctor who cares for the oral health. And for some, I legitimately do. But when most come to vent and bitch about other dentists and how poorly they were treated at other offices, that isn't on me. I'm not a shrink. Really, please, STFU. And agree to the treatment that you need. Pay for it. Get the services, and GTFOO MO.
That's a lot.
We got it's a lot of letters there. It's alphabet. I once was a compassionate dental student and new grad. Years later, I've hardened to a tired old dentist. I had all this relatively well. Nearly all think I love dentistry, and I'm out there to help everyone. But the reality is, I simply want you to agree to what you need, pay for it, and get it. And if not, don't waste my time, and please go bother someone else. I've lost the drive, and for a year I've been trying to rack my brains to find out what I can do to get back into dentistry motivated. And it's signed off, I am tired. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if some of this relates to you, this is the show for you. And we want to talk specifically about some things that you can do. I mean, the first thing I would say before we even get started with this is, you know what? Anybody and everybody has the ability to get into burnout. It doesn't matter. That's not a dentistry related thing. It's not a healthcare related thing. All of us have the possibility of getting to the burnout stage. There are several things that we want to give you to help you get out of this. Now, the rest of the story is, when I came across this post, I legitimately wanted to help. I mean, this is a cry for help. This doctor is looking for some help. And after reading several of the original responses to this, let's see if I can go ahead and pull some of those up. Here's the first one. I hear you. I have no advice. I'm sorry. I'm in the same boat and would love to hear from others. The next one, sadly, this is quite common. Not sure there's anything you can do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's another one. Me too. Bro, you're not alone. I'm right there with you. Join the club, only 8 years in. I despise waking up going to work. Here's another. I feel exactly the same way you did, bro, et cetera, et cetera. Here, take more vacation. There we go. Okay. So those are the responses.
Number one rated job.
Number one out of 200.
Based on the amount of money that you can make, the amount of dental profits, the unemployment rate. You know what the unemployment rate is? A dental unemployment rate for a dentist? Let's check that real quick.
I'm sure it's down the bottom.
0.1%.
And yet, if you look at this, it looks like that there's all these people that are out there and they're not fulfilled. They're unhappy. They're feeling burned out. Again, that's a natural thing. This guy, I don't know, this doctor needed some help. And so the short version of the story is I jumped out and posted some things to help him get out of this. And basically,
no, you didn't.
I did. And I don't know that I can find it because there's so many responses here. I don't know that I can find it right now.
Well, just tell us what you said, Sean.
Well, basically, what I said is, just what that stat says to me, you have the ability to control everything that you desire. And in short form, what I said is, if you're not enjoying it, then let's make a list of the things that you don't enjoy. And, let's take control of those things and let's get rid of the stuff you don't like. And let's make it all about the stuff that you do like. And let's start having fun again. The responses that I got were just incredible. People were coming out of the woodwork to punch at me,
to hit you.
Who are you? What, are you kidding me? Things like, who is this guy coming in here to drive by and drop some kind of psychobabble on us? What are you, a psychologist? And, just on and on and on. And you don't understand how bad it is. And the next one was like, yeah, how long have you been practicing dentistry? And just on and on and on. Just berating me. And I got to be honest with you. I let it affect me. I mean, you were here the night that I was doing this. It's like 7:30 at night and I'm still in the office. The last post that got me was, oh yeah? How many years? This is what he said exactly. Now the post has been deleted, but here's what he said. Oh yeah? How many years have you spent making jewelry in a sewer? Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my gosh. I was at the start of this thing. I mean, I took that kind of wrong, and I was allowing that to sort of affect me a little bit. And I mean, at the moment, I felt a little bit attacked. I mean, I felt like these guys really weren't looking for help. They're not seeing that I'm trying to help. And, I mean, it sort of, I mean, to be honest with you, got a hold of me. And I went ahead and responded. And I thought about how I should respond. And that's what I think we want to talk about. So if you are My Kitchen, which is the poster of this show is for you. If you're not, if as we move toward the end of the year, if you're feeling yourself get into this place, this show is for you. Take some notes. We want to give you some things that you can do immediately to begin to turn this big ship around and maybe get reconnected to the things that you were excited about getting into dentistry in the first place. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we all go through those positions where we're down and out, right? Where we're burnt out, where
it's a natural
it's Sunday and you're like, oh man, I got to go to work tomorrow. Man, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. We all get in those positions, and it's for me, what I've noticed is the most successful people figure a way to get out of that mindset
as quickly as possible.
Yeah. The quicker you get out, the better you're going to be.
It's not about, are you in that place? It's more about how quickly can you get out of that place. That's
exactly
what you're saying, right? So what's the first thing you would say?
The first thing I would say is you've got to take control of the things that are within your ability to control.
So what we're talking about here is taking control. It's about taking control.
You've got to take control. If I'm feeling an emotion that I'm burnout or whatever it is, it's just a message that I am not taking control of the things within my ability to control. I mean, if I'm in the number one profession in the United States of America, the number one profession, I have the ability to control everything around me if I believe I do.
Right. But let me play the other side of that, because if I'm driving down the road listening to this, or if I'm running, listening to this, or if I'm watching this on video and you're telling me to take control, I'm thinking, dude, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. You know, I'm not enjoying it anymore. There are so many things that I don't enjoy. So what's the number one thing you tell me to do? It's about taking control, but what's the number one thing you tell me to do?
Well, the number one thing to do is acknowledge the fact that you're unhappy. You've got to acknowledge the fact that you are not enjoying the situation, whatever the situation may be, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is I got to get to the point where I am open and honest with myself that I'm kind of sick and tired of being sort of in this place.
Yes.
I've got to acknowledge that I'm unhappy, and I've got to recognize that I didn't used to be unhappy. And if I'm now unhappy.
Yeah. There was a time when I was happy. Step 2 is you got to make a choice that you're going to change, that you're going to do something about it.
So what do you mean?
Don't just sit there and roll around in whatever you're feeling. You make a choice that I'm going to do something different. I realize where I'm at now is not working. I've got to make a choice. I got to make a decision in my mind that I'm going to go and do something or be something about it.
So what you're saying is, number one, I have to admit how unhappy I am. If I don't admit that to myself, then what's very likely is I have reduced what was this once great calling to a job.
Yeah.
And I'm just rolling around and not enjoying it, but I'm not facing the fact that I truly am unhappy. I'm just going through the motions, going to the office, dreading the Sunday nights. I'm not feeling good, every night. I mean, you and I see this a lot. A lot of times there's a lot of drinking going on when you get to that place. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing is we're not addressing the fact that I am very unhappy. And that is step 1. And step 2, you're saying is, if I've come to that place, then I need to
make a choice,
make a conscious choice to change. There's probably a lot under that, though. I mean, here's what I would tell you. For you to make a conscious choice, if you admitted that you are not happy, second thing, make a conscious choice to change. Ask yourself some questions. I mean, this show is all about having happier clients, better results, and making more money. This is America. I mean, at the end of the day, don't you deserve to be happy? I mean, this is America. Yeah. You can have whatever it is that you want. Don't you deserve to be happy? You were once happy. Let's make it happy again. All right? You deserve to be happy
again.
Right. Connect with, ask yourself some questions and connect with, why did you get into dentistry in the first place? And I know up until you've asked this question, you've been focused on all the things that you don't enjoy, like some of the things that I just mentioned that he said, in this particular post.
I just want people to pay their bill, and I want people to accept treatment. And
I'm tired of patients complaining about price and pain and treatment. I'm tired of the expenses. I'm tired of the back-breaking physical work. Well, you know what? I would submit that all of that was probably there in the first place, but because you had a different mindset, there's something you can do about it. Make a conscious choice to change. Ask yourself, you only got one shot at this life. I mean, let's look at it this way. If you don't make a choice to change, what are the next 6 months going to look like? This is where you are right now.
What are the next 3 months? What's tomorrow going to look like? What are you doing right now that's going to make you better tomorrow? I can share my personal story. About 2 years ago, I was in the same position, not necessarily with my business, but with my marriage. My wife and I had been married for, at that time, probably 5 or 6 years. And I was in this place where I thought that I'm me and she is her, right? Her, whatever her strengths are and whatever she wants is what she wants, and whatever I want and what I want to do is what I want to do, right? So we weren't communicating. Yeah, we weren't on the same page at all. We weren't communicating. I was living my life and she was living her life. And you know what? It wasn't to the point where we were going to separate or divorce or anything like that, but that could have been. It wasn't fun. Yeah, that could have been the future. I wasn't having fun. She wasn't having fun. So I made a decision at that moment. When my back got to the wall and I finally said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I made a decision that I was going to take control, and I was going to invest in the relationship that I have with my wife. I was going to do things that maybe made me uncomfortable, or maybe that I didn't want to do. Stop being so selfish, find out what her interests are. She wants to go hiking. Damn it, I'm going to go hiking. I hate how much you enjoy hiking. Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do, but if she enjoys it, I've got to make the effort to the relationship because it is that important to me. So it's about taking control. And the first step is admitting how you weren't happy. Yeah. And then secondly, you made a conscious choice to change. Yeah. And in your particular case, that was sort of changing the way you behave because your focus is on making it better. Changing the way I behave, right. Changing the way I'm thinking, because the way I behave comes from my mindset. Right. So when my wife says, hey, you want to go hiking? And I'm thinking in my mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, I don't want to go hiking. Right. When I'm thinking that in my mind, I've got to change my mindset in that moment and realize, okay, this is her way of communicating that she wants to spend time with me. And your focus was on your relationship. Yeah. My overall. I mean, my focus was on, and you wanted to make a change. I looked into the future and I made a choice to be happy. Because at the end of the day, you're worried about what's the next 6 months going to look like. Yeah. I'm worried about what the next 30 years is going to look like. One of the things that you and I talk about a lot is it's about finding your why. Exactly. I mean, if in your example, your relationship is important enough that you're willing to be a little bit different, you're willing to make a change. Yep. Everybody deserves to be happy. No, seriously. Yeah, they do. Everybody deserves to be happy. And so it's about finding your why. And it's funny when your boys call, your friends call, and they say, hey, man, you want to go hang out? And you tell them, nah, man, I'm going hiking. I'm going hiking with my wife. That is putting the emphasis on the big enough why. That's putting, and that may be a silly example as compared to this guy, what he's going through in his business, but mindset is mindset. And whether it's talking about figuring out how to fix your marriage or it's talking about figuring out how to fix your business, it starts right here. What's going on between your ears? But you got to make a decision to take control of that. So we're talking about 3 steps that really involve taking control. Step 1, identify how unhappy you are and roll around in it, right? Step 2, make a conscious decision to make a change and ask yourself some of those questions. Don't I deserve to be happy? I mean, I only got one shot at this life. You only got one shot at this life. Ask yourself some different questions. I mean, if I'm unhappy right now, what is 6 months from now going to look like? What is 12 months from now going to look like? You know what? What kind of example? I mean, this is a big one for me. What kind of example am I setting for my kids? I mean, if I'm coming home and I'm just so dreading the next day going to the office or whatever, what kind of example am I setting for the little ones in my life who are watching my every single move? Ask yourself some of those questions, reconnect to why it is that you got back into dentistry or that you got into dentistry in the first place. And here's a big one. This is probably the biggest one, number 3. And I would submit you have to do the first 2 before you can get to number 3. Number 3 is identify the things, no kidding, that you truly have the ability to control.
And I hope you wrote that one down, because this is a big one. Now you have to get past those first two probably before you can get to this third one, but identify the things that you really have the ability to control. You quoted a stat on the front end. Dentistry is the #1 job in the U.S. And the reasons why are because you have the control over your finances, you have the control over your schedule, you have the control over, what was the other thing?
You have the control over your money. You have a low, super, super low unemployment rate. So you have control over finding a job.
Because you're entrepreneurial, right?
Well, you're entrepreneurial, but there's also 23,000 dental jobs for dentists in the U.S. So ability to find a job, ability to make a lot of money, a lot of dental profit, because you need more money, honey. You got to have it. And your ability to control
your own schedule.
Your schedule, how many days you work,
how many patients you see. And so identify, honest to goodness, sincerely take a look at this. What are the things that you have the ability to control? And I would ask myself, now I know up until this point, before you looked at #1 and #2 that we talked about a minute ago, before you truly admitted how unhappy you are, and before you made a choice to change, it probably felt like, I know that you have no ability to control anything. But, really truly identify what are the things that you have the ability to control. Now, don't you control your time? Don't you control the money that you make? Yes, you do, because you control whether or not you take insurance. Now, you may not have it if you're not on insurance and you want to get insurance, or if you're on insurance and you want to get off insurance. It's a conscious choice. Now, just because you may have not had a strategy to be able to handle that in the past doesn't mean it's not possible. You can control it. There are people like us, right? Reach out to us. But the point is, you have the ability to control how many days you work in a year, how much vacation time you have, how many patients you see throughout the course of a day, how much you charge, how much you earn, what procedures that you do, the clinical outcomes that actually, in terms of the treatment that you provide. You control all of that. In short, if this were a football game, which are the analogies that I like to use, right? You own the stadium.
Who's playing football?
Come on, man. It's not the Titans. You own, it's Alabama.
Okay. Alabama.
It's Nick Saban.
Roll Tide.
Okay. You own the football stadium. You own the concession stand. You own the seats. You own the beer sales. You own the Coke sales. You own the referees. You own the yardage markers. You own the scoreboard. If you're not getting where it is that you need to go, it's possible that it might be because you've not realized that you do have the ability to control it. And once you come to that place, now you can begin to make change. I'll tell you a quick story. I was having this conversation probably, it's got to be like 15 years ago now, with a client of mine in Western Canada. And he and I became great friends. And long story short, we were having this conversation. I was going to challenge him a little bit in terms of the way that he was thinking. This is about taking control, right? We got done with the conversation, and we were just sort of visiting, catching up personally or whatever. And I said, "What are you doing this weekend?" He said, "I'm running my first ultra marathon."
What's that?
Ultra marathon is, I think it's over 80 miles. I think it's anything over 80 miles. So this particular one he was running was over 100 miles.
That's a long way to drive a car, 100 miles.
It is. But it's like I think it was like you start running Friday morning and you end Sunday night or something. It was 100 miles. And I
camp out in between? What do you do?
I think you just sleep whenever you want, pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah. But you got a weekend to do it. It's 100 miles, dude. Right? Dude. And I thought, good grief, I'm so impressed with that. And I remember saying, one of my goals is just to run a regular marathon. Regular marathon, 26.2 miles. Now, to that point, I never run more than 3 miles. And so it's about taking control, right? Mm-hmm. We just had this conversation. He goes, "So what's preventing you from doing that?" I said, I got clients in 4 different time zones right now. I'm traveling 200 days a year, and I just don't know when I would have time to train. And he goes, but aren't those things that you have the ability to control?
Ooh,
And he challenged me right back. And I thought, you know what?
you're right.
He's totally right. I didn't even think about it. I did not even think about it like that. And so right then and right there, I committed that 12 months from that date, I was going to run my first marathon, and it was with him. And so I committed.
Strong. Made a decision.
I committed that, I was not going to live on someday I'll do this. I committed I was going to do it because I do have the ability to control those things. And I learned some valuable lessons in that, but he actually registered both of us for my first marathon in Utah, St. George, Utah, which is my first marathon. And so I made that commitment because he challenged me in terms of taking control. It's all about taking control.
Do you think that up until that point in your life, you would have just talked about it and never would have done it?
I think I would have lived my entire life
and
talked about it and never done it.
Because somebody challenged you.
He challenged me. Well, he didn't just he challenged my specifically.
He challenged your
about taking control.
Yeah,
he challenged me to take control. And so I ran my first marathon, and then I had to follow it up with a second one.
Yeah.
Right? Just to prove that I could. But it's about taking control. And at the end of the day, I would submit that because you're an entrepreneur, you've got the ability to control how many days you work, what hours you work, what you charge, when you work, how long you work.
If your patients pay.
If your patients pay.
If your patients show up.
If your patients show up.
Yeah. All of those things. Everything that if you go down a list and you see the list of all the challenges, every one of them you control. If you figure out a way to control it and you think that you control it. I can control whether or not my patients show up when I look at my financial policies, when I look at how I'm handling intake calls, when I look at how I'm confirming, what's my confirmation process.
All of that we control.
All of it.
All of that.
But if I don't believe that I can control it, and I don't make the decision to control it, then I'm going to get on the internet and say, this sucks. Or I'm going to be with my friends and I'm going to say, oh, this sucks. Or worse, you're going to talk about it to yourself in your brain and you're going to say, oh, this sucks.
And you end up playing the victim.
Yep.
You end up playing the victim.
You're at the mercy of everything else.
If you think about, my kitchen over here and what he's talking about, that's kind of what's going on. I mean, he's complaining about all of that and he's obviously reaching out for help, but he doesn't see the way to take control of it. Right. And so as he's throwing that out there, now everybody else is piling on. Yeah, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too.
Yeah, and they're just cultivating.
It becomes a poor little old me kind of a conversation. We don't want you to be in that. Look, it's natural for everybody to go through this, but it doesn't mean that you can't get out of it. And the way you get out of it is admit how unhappy you are. Make a conscious decision to change
for the future.
And then identify all of the things that you have the ability to control. And the last takeaway from this is this. Now that you've identified all of the things that you have the ability to control, go seek out opportunities to begin to take control. Doesn't matter what you've done in the past, you can control these things. You absolutely can. You can make this whatever it is that you want to make it. As long as you understand and believe that you can, then you can go make strategies, create strategies to be able to take control of those things. There's information everywhere. Look, find us on Twitter, find us on social media, go to crabtreegroup.com, videos like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And every time we cut a video like this, it'll go right to your inbox. There's thousands of resources out there to give you the ability. And I'm cutting videos all the time, once a week, twice a week on steps you can take to take control of these things. But you've got to do those first three things first. Admit how unhappy you are, make a conscious choice to change, identify what you have the ability to control, and now go after controlling it. It's all about happier clients, better results, making more money. We come to you live each week. This has been Dental Profits.
If you have any questions, feel free to email us.
If you're in this place, don't stay in this place. Reach out to us. We'll be glad to support you.
Get around some people that can cause some thinking in your mind, man.
They can cause some stir.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. We got a brand new year before us. There's no reason for you to be in this place. Reach out to us. This is Dental Profits. We come to you live each week. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.